Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dumb Dad Podcast. My name is Evan, and I'm a dumb dad.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kevin, and I, too, am a dumb dad.
Hey, cheers, pal.
Cheers.
Happy
New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh, my gosh.
Happy New Year. You forgot.
I totally forgot.
Such a dad.
Oh, wow.
Happy Tuesday, I guess.
Well, I know that it's 2023, but what I forgot was that when we last left you, it wasn't the New Year, I guess I should say.
Correct.
So
that's how the New Year kind of works.
Yeah. I meant the listener.
At some point, you don't
you.
see them, and then the next time you see them, it's New Year's.
When we used to go to my grandparents' house for now what I understand as a father is to give my parents a break. But it was like a big fun. We're going to go to your grandparents' house with your cousins. You're going to stay there for a week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, your parents did that to give themselves a break. Okay.
Yeah. And we once did that, and it was over the New Year break. It was we probably had Christmas and then like did it over like the New Year break, as part of our holiday break or whatever. And we didn't get that necessarily as kids because we were like 8 and however old we were.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, we'll see you next year. And we all just burst into tears. Because they probably thought they were making a fun joke, but we took it literally and it scared us.
That's fair. It's a scary thing to hear.
Yeah, this joke totally failed. It didn't go well.
Such a dad joke.
I know.
The number one dad joke post-Christmas. I mean, tons of Christmas dad jokes.
Yeah, tons of Christmas dad jokes.
So before we get into the weeds, let's talk about our non-sponsor of this podcast.
Okay.
Our brewery.
Oh yeah, our brewery.
Here's the brew.
The brew that I brought you
Mm-hmm.
is called Deal with the Devil, which is how we gained our followers on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's called Deal with the Devil. It's an IPA that this local brewery makes, McLeod Brewery, and they're like my favorite thing. It's they're really close, and so it's fun to go to. I never had a brewery close to my house, and now this place is pretty close, and it's cool. To have like a local, a local spot to go to.
That is pretty cool. I'm pretty envious of that brewery being so close to you. It's a really cool spot. We did beers pretty regularly throughout most of the podcast. We've lately gotten tired. And just kind of switched to
and full of beer.
A whiskey or a club soda or something or whatever. But we got to support the local breweries, and we want to support McLeod Brewing. They're great.
Or you know what? Wherever you are, drink local because I know
local.
they appreciate it. Like when I guess you think about it as
you
you get
they're
older.
passionate.
Like
they're passionate about it.
They're passionate about it. So wherever your local brewery is or whatever, drink beer. Even just a small business, local business. I mean, that stuff's all really cool to me.
You don't drink beer? Go there and play Connect 4. Most of these
right.
small breweries got Connect 4 or Checkers.
Or some game that
kids game. They got a box of games.
You get it. They're trying to keep you there. You understand?
You guys want to buy anything? No, we're good. We're good. Hey, Connect 4.
We're good. We're good. Could you be quiet, please? I have 3 in a row in 2 spots, and I'm not sure my opponent knows. Oh.
No, I knew. I said it out loud.
So anyway, yeah, I brought it and enjoy.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
How was your New Year's? Did you do anything?
I'll give you a guess, Kev, and I bet you could nail it right on the head.
Okay.
What do you think we did?
Yeah, you either played a YouTube or like a Disney Plus video of a countdown.
Yeah, at what time?
Or you did a 9 o'clock New York countdown.
Correct.
You did the 9.
It's the West Coast.
Did you do the live feed?
Yeah. It's called the West Coast New Year celebration with children, which is at 9 o'clock p.m.
I don't think that's the name.
Well, I just named it.
You signaled it like it was going to be a cool name. You were like, it's called the...
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I realized that I just needed to keep talking at that moment, and so I just
New
went
Year's,
with the first word
children,
that came in.
adults, parents. I'm just saying things.
Woman, man, camera, TV. What was it?
Bed by 9:15.
So yeah, that's what you do. You go do the live feed on YouTube or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you go, and it's like 9 o'clock, and you tell your kids, okay, the New Year, and then you celebrate at 9 o'clock, and then after that, so they get to stay up a little bit, but they're never going to make it. As much as they think, like, are we staying up to midnight? Yeah. I've tried that. I think we told the story last year. I tried that with my son. He was like, can I stay up till midnight? And he was like, sure.
Oh, right.
Go for it.
Yeah.
And at 10:20, he's like, I got to go to bed now.
Yeah.
I don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
probably all the champagne. And so so we did the 9 o'clock New Year celebration, and so they get to stay up a little bit, and then my wife and I put them down, and my wife's like, I'm really tired, and I'm like, okay. So she falls asleep on the couch.
Oh.
And then I need to figure out something to do to stay up because I like staying up till midnight. But if I just sit there by myself on the couch, I'm going to fall asleep too.
Sure.
So I played video games until
11:55
and went and poured myself just a tiny bit of champagne and shook my wife awake and gave her a kiss. And then I think we went to bed at 12:10.
Oh, parenting is so sad.
It's so
That's so sad.
It's so pathetic.
It's fine.
It's totally fine. You know what? I had fun.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't know if I necessarily maximized my fun, but I had fun.
Hey,
it was enjoyable.
You finished out 2022 the way you wanted.
Now here's the thing. I'll say this about the moving on because I do have I have a pretty good dumb dad moment.
Okay.
This week, but a little bit of a dumb parenting moment we had is that my wife got excited and got like she was like, well, we could still celebrate with the kids, right? So she got like some like poppers and stuff and got them Martinellis and so we could still kind of do it up with them and make a fun celebration of it. These poppers that she got were like they look like push pops. They were kind of big, and we brought them over to you. I don't know if you've used them yet.
We haven't.
I think at this point you're past it, and I'm just going to do you a favor and say you probably shouldn't do it.
Okay.
It's like 8 million little like hole punch things, and it's like
hole punch. Yeah, that's what they look like.
Yeah, and it's like light. They're so light. It's like tissue paper and like foil almost, not foil, lighter than that. And man,
like a space blanket. And
as soon as we were like, Happy New Year, boom. Immediately, the first thought I had was, we're going to be finding those till we move. I know it's kind of the dad thought.
Hold on, let me say it again. Like, parenting is so sad.
But it only in a funny way, not in a discouraged like, oh, why did we do that? Now I'm an old angry man. It was more of like, oh, the idea that I told my wife, we're going to play this game now. And when do you think is the last day that one of us is going to go, I found one, because we're going to keep finding them. We're going to do a great job.
For sure the day you move.
And she goes, oh, the day we move.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no question.
I was like, well, she has a really high level of confidence that we'll be able to find a house soon. So also it could be 5 years, but it still might be the same answer.
Yeah.
Because
that's true. You could unpack a bag and bring it with you like a virus.
Yeah.
That'd be fun for your new home. Moving is always, you always get a chuckle when you move, when you pull out something and go,
yeah. There it is.
You always have something where you're just like, I forgot that existed.
Quick story. I used to work at Starbucks, and to make the mocha that they put in mochas, it's a huge bag of powder that you mix with hot water and you stir and stir and stir for like half of your shift, so the chunks go out of it with a whisk.
Fun.
I'm sure it's the same method.
Yeah.
This bag of powder was like a 2-pound bag of fine mocha powder.
Yeah.
Kind of fun to play with. It was almost like a gigantic cornhole bag or like a bean bag. Mm-hmm. So I'd flip it up and catch it and stuff, And one of these days we were out of it, so I went to go to the storage area to go grab one, and I grabbed it. And what do we know about these types of situations? This is why on these boxes now this happens with like furniture or anything you buy that's fragile, especially food items, anything you order that says don't open this box with a blade. Right. Somebody did.
Yep.
And scored the top of this bag.
Until you flipped it.
Until I flipped it, and it opened like a brand new butterfly out of a cocoon.
Yeah.
And there was there's customers there, and 2 pounds of like fine mocha powder just exploded into the lobby of Starbucks.
Because you wanted bar flare.
Yeah, because I wanted bar flare. I needed it, and I always think to this day, like if they're still, I think that location still exists. It's still there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's in the corners of something.
What I love about those boxes that say don't open with a blade, those box openers, like I have a box cutter, it has a setting.
I know.
So that you can't score anything in there.
Yeah, you just barely go down.
But I respect the companies that just go, no, don't, because I don't trust you.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm not going to tell you about the setting. I'm just going to tell you don't use a knife.
Because you know what dads do? You know what that is? Guys, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's everybody. It becomes a challenge. There's something about that. Don't open the box. Well, they're speaking to other people.
Pretty sure this is in my house.
Yeah. Well, they're speaking to people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
First of all. So I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like some
Yeah.
of those kinds of things, like that's how I take it. Well, I could do it.
Guys, follow us on YouTube for more box opening hacks.
Hacks about things you shouldn't do.
Please don't listen to this podcast while you're driving. You will fall asleep at the wheel.
So let me speaking of wheels, let me steer us back to the topic of conversation, Kevin. Let me guess. You sat on the couch as well. What time did your kids go to bed?
Okay. Hold on. I got a whole
Okay.
story to set this up.
All right.
Let's do a fun anxiety check-in.
Sure.
So-
Yes, from last week. Okay.
So on the last week, if you didn't listen to last week's podcast, go and listen to that podcast. It'll just be better for context. But recently I discovered...
and for listens, to be honest.
Yeah, and just leave the room.
Overall engagement of
download
our...
it.
Download it. And share it.
But yeah, if you haven't listened to the podcast, a quick recap, but really listen to it. I discovered I have anxiety. I've joined the ranks of Evan and 30 million other Americans, according to one thing I looked up.
Yes. Oh, I'm special. I have this thing. There's a whole...
There's dozens of us.
Dozens of us.
So...
I didn't see you at the convention.
Anyway, so I discovered I've been really suffering with anxiety lately, and it's been awful.
Yep.
And I've had some, I'd say, panic attacks. I've had this, like, I don't know the difference. I don't know. I think I did the same thing last week on the podcast. I'm just like, it's not panic, it's anxiety. I don't know. They're all the same. I don't know. But I know that I never had it like this, where I was just like, my chest was hurting, and I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, sounds like a panic attack. And then we did a podcast about it. And then once we finished the podcast, you and I talked about it for a little bit after the podcast, because I surprised you with it. Merry Christmas. Guess what I've been doing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Kevin, you haven't really been
nothing
texting
because
me
I'm
back.
crippled.
What the hell's going on?
With fear. That's what I've been doing. So anyway, and then I was talking to you, and then I started having it again, and it just hasn't been going away. It's been very consistent.
Let me say one thing really quickly here, because now this is not like a technical explanation. This is not. I'm just going to explain from my point of view how this makes me, how I feel about
it
this.
to me. Let's hear it.
First of all, let me explain to you, okay, about being nervous. So I think of it this way. A panic attack to me is like when it's like 10 minutes of like stalled. I don't know what to do. I can't do anything.
Okay.
Anxiety to me is a overwhelming feeling that sort of doesn't go away for periods of time. Like I spend a majority of the day sort of continuously focusing on something that I want to change or that I can't change or that's worrying me or something like that. And oftentimes when it comes to a breaking point, then it'll be like a panic attack. So that's how I feel about it. But to me.
So then I'm correct in my assessment, because the things that I've had have been panic attacks of just like something went wrong, and just like instead of immediately going to fix it, having the panic attack. Again, that's only happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
That I can think of.
Yeah.
And then this has been anxiety. Anyway, cut to New Year's Eve. A holiday I don't care about. So no, the New Year's Eve did not bring on an anxiety of the new year or anything like that.
Yeah, changing of the tides really got you.
But my wife and I are trying to be like, this holiday season was wild in terms of just like our kids being sick, so much going on. I've been insanely busy with like the PTA and dumb dads, and just like life is kind of not slipping away, but like there's no
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, and we're just kind of like, all right, let's try to bring everything back. Not right away. Let's do some focusing for 2023. Some might call it resolutions. No, thank you.
Not a resolutions guy.
I just know I'm going to let myself down. So
can't fail if you don't try, kids.
Exactly. Thanks, Uncle Rick. So my thing was we sat down and we'd already talked about doing this ahead of time. And then with like the anxiety and stuff, it's like, maybe that's part of what it is. It's like this lack of control that like our life has just been getting out of hand. Let's sit down and really go for goals in 2023 and things that we want to see. So we kind of did that. And I'm sure that was part of it. Anyway, I started having anxiety.
So you wrote. I see. So you wrote it into your new schedule.
Yeah.
It's clever.
So I was just started getting anxiety again. And I was like, oh man, it's happening again. I'm just like this pain in my chest, and I now I'm like freaking out. Then I full on spiraled, and it got like so bad. I went to the ER. Mm-hmm. I was like, I have to go to the ER because like I have to know. Like, I talked to my mother, who's a cardiac nurse, has been for 30 years, maybe more. And she was like, is it really rare for you to have like a heart thing? And I was like, rare, not impossible. Like, just like
that's
your brain.
Well, what you just said, something right there is so valid, because it's like you're speculating everything, and you need somebody that can look you in the eye and tell you it's not based on proof. And that's why you're there. And there's there's nothing wrong with that. That's just like, I've been there before with that feeling, and that's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy
to say the least.
I was like laying down in my bed, and my wife came in and she laid with me for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "This to go away." I have no idea. So then she was just like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I'm just like weighing my options. And in my brain the whole time, I'm like, you go to the ER. Go to the ER. Mm-hmm. That's going to suck. You might be there for New Year's Eve because it was New Year's Eve. Like you might be there for 2023. Like that might happen. You don't know. So it was like, but like, you're just going to keep suffering until you get your answer. And that was what I just had to do. So I was like, she was out there playing with the kids. And then I just like in my room, just like put on my shoes, put on my, put on a hoodie, and just walked out there. And she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I broke down. I started crying, and I was like, "I have to go to the ER." I was like, "I can't function right now."
Yeah.
And she was like, "All right, let's go to the ER." And then we went to the ER, and then my son, kid sucks. He, I'm like trying to hold it together for the kids, and I am. And we're driving to the ER, and that kind of sucks. Like, where like you have kids. Your partner can't come with you. So it's like, she's going to drop me off.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And she drops me off, and like my wife and I holding it together, hug each other, because it's still like scary.
Yeah.
And then I go and I like hug my kids. My son grabs me by the face, and he just goes, "I just want you to be safe." And I was like,
"What?"
I was like, "Later." Just like slam the door. My wife's a mess. She's bawling.
That's the most sweetest sentiment you've ever said to me.
Sweetest.
Not the right time. Don't say that to me.
Don't
right
ever
now.
talk to me like that again. You ever talk to me like that again?
You absolute angel of a person.
Sweet, sweet boy.
Yeah.
It's the last time that comes out of your mouth, or I'm gone. So I went to the ER. And I mean, it was around like 3:30 or something like that. And I went in, and they were just like, "What's going on?" I was like, I'm having chest issues. I was like, I just have this pain in my chest, this tightness. I don't know what it is. And I actually started feeling like kind of like lightheaded too. I was just like, it was intense by this point.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the whole moment is quite overwhelming for you, I'm sure, at that point.
So they had me fill out paperwork. I'm like not even done writing my first name, and they're like, "Kevin, let's go this way." And like they bring me in. Like luckily the ER was like pretty empty as part of it, but I know like they take heart stuff seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
So I went into the room, and this is where I got brought back to earth, which is great, which is what I wanted. It's why I went there.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is like, I go there, the nurse is like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I'm having this tightness and this like kind of pain-ish. I can't even tell anymore in my chest. I feel kind of lightheaded." And then the doctor comes in immediately. Thank God, probably because it was a slow day. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, "All right, so walk me through it. Tell him again." And he just goes, "How old are you?" And I was like, "Here we go." Here we go. He goes, "How old are you?" I go, 38. And he goes, "Okay. I mean, it's rare that you're going to have a heart issue at your age. You smoke? I was like, no. And I forget, he asked me like one other thing. Do you do this? And I was like, no. And
Do you drink gasoline?
And he was like, okay. And he starts leaving the room. And he doubles back and goes, oh, do you do coke or smoke meth? I was like, no. Yeah, I don't. It's probably anxiety. I'm like, leaves the room. Which is exactly what I wanted. Like, that was like, it's not. I still need the tests. Like, but it was just really funny. I was like, I walked in to get this. I walked in to get looked down upon. Yeah. Because mental health is not taken seriously in this country.
You say it like that, but what you went to, yeah, I know, but what you went for is like sort of confirmation that you were going to be okay.
Yes.
And so a guy that you respect, this is absolute profession, and he does this every single day of his life, and has seen not only has he seen what you're afraid of in that moment, he's more often seen what's going on in that moment.
Right.
And so you're looking for that confirmation there, which is somebody just like your brother sitting next to you telling you it's gonna be okay. Ugh. Like, you don't know that, and that's nothing to do with the mistrust of the person next to you. That's nothing to do with that you don't know what I'm going through. It's just like, it's hard for anybody to, like, you don't know that, so how would you know that? Is like the feeling, and that's scary. That's
it's scary. And I got all hooked up to the machines, and got the whole. It was cool how fast it was. Again, slow day, but like, they come in EKG, X-ray, they take your vitals and all that stuff, and then they're just like, all right, we'll be back in a couple hours, and then they keep checking on me and stuff, and they were just then that kept happening, and I was there for like 3 or 4 hours, and the doc came back, and he was like, we're just going to do, he did 2 tests again. He did another EKG and another blood draw. That's what it was, a blood draw. X-ray, blood draw, EKG, did another blood draw, and did another EKG, just to because they want to double check. So they wait 2 hours, do everything again. If those are all the same as the first time, you're golden. We're going to get out of here. And that's what it was. And it came back, and he was just like, yeah, man, you're fine. Probably have anxiety, but again, it was great. I was glad I went. It was the answer for sure that I wanted. Like, if I had to have anything, I wanted anxiety. Yeah. Obviously didn't want heart problems, or they're just like, your acid reflux is eating your throat. Like, you're just kind of like, you want it to be like, it's anxiety. Yeah. So I got that, and then I went to my brother and sister-in-law's, which was really funny, because they were just like, if you just want to go home, you can. And I was like, well, I just needed to go have somebody tell me I'm okay-ish. I'm okay adjacent. Yeah. I didn't go under any medical procedures. Let's hang out. I'd rather not
be by yourself.
Be by myself.
Yeah,
let's hang out. Yeah. So we hung out there, and we did the East Coast. East Coast. I believe it's called the Parenting East Coast
West
New Year's.
Coast.
The West Coast Parents East Coast celebration of the New Year's.
If you have children,
TM.
Yeah. I'll say this. I relate to you in a specific way, in that I don't want to make this a long story, because I just want to share the relation to it. But so what can happen is, if it's sort of in your experience before, you never had anxiety before, never experienced it before. I never experienced it before. It runs in my family, but I never experienced it before until my late 20s. And my buddy's like, "Hey man, come to the park with us. We're gonna go play soccer." At that time, I was really into riding my bike around. I didn't drive a car. When I didn't have to, I just loved riding I rode my bike to work and everything. So I was riding my bike, and it was this old bike I'd bought off Craigslist. And about halfway there, the brakes failed. Okay. And I'm like, get off the bike. I'm working out with my little tool set. I figured out, but part of the brake wiring, stabs my hand. I'm bleeding. It's not bad. None of that's bad. It's so minuscule. It's not even a big deal. I go play soccer with my friend for 3 hours. Awesome time. We had so much fun. It was there was 6 of us. We just had a great time in the park. We played. It was so much fun. I just had so much fun. We were exhausted, so he gave me a ride back to my house. The next day I woke up, my back was so tight and seized up, I could barely move. So wrecked.
How old are you at this?
Like 29 or something like that.
That's a shame.
So yeah.
Foreshadowing.
And long story short, I didn't know at that time that I had. That was like the very beginnings of it was like the first moment of like releasing anxiety because I couldn't figure out like why does my back hurt so bad.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like the first time I played soccer in forever. It wasn't, but it was like anyway. What happened was we played for so long, my back was just so tight that I needed to rest or whatever.
You're at the age you're starting to get to the age where you probably should stretch.
So sure. First time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So what happens is I get really nervous about it. I start thinking like, what's wrong with me? A week later, my back still hurts. Like it's taking a while. It hurts. Like, and I'm like tight. I can't like bend over and touch my feet or anything. Like I was wrecked. So that makes me more and more nervous. Why am I not getting better? What's wrong with me? What's happened? I went back to the specific moment that I was fixing my brakes so I go into the garage and look, and the wire that kind of jabbed me was a little bit rusty. Mm-hmm. So I just spend 10 minutes finding what's wrong with me. Oh, I have tetanus. Mm-hmm. I could have tetanus. That's scary. So I called my practitioner back home wondering when was the last time that I got my tetanus shot. I'm just curious. About 11 years ago. So you're supposed to get it every 10 years. So you're due if you want. That was my answer that I needed to tell me, oh, I have tetanus.
Yeah, you have tetanus.
So let's look up what happens to if you have tetanus. It's not great results.
Yeah.
A lot of 14th century images of people that look like the letter U.
Okay.
And it was like, oh my God, this is what's going to. So I go find this doctor and I tell him everything that happened. And he calmly does what that doctor did to you. He goes, I've worked for over 40 years. Yeah. I have never seen a case of tetanus, and I never will. But that wasn't good enough because he didn't run any tests on me.
That's not what I needed to hear. Yeah.
So, in a way, it's what I did need to hear. But I was so lost in the moment of anxiety and being so scared of what was going on that but you're that's an opinion, man.
Yeah.
And I couldn't because I'd never met him before. Even though he's a doctor, it was struggling for me. And the second time I went somewhere with my wife was a couple of days later, and I told her I'm not getting over. It's not like I'm just he told me that and it's fine now. I'm still my back hurts. I'm still so nervous. So we went to the ER, and this young man helped me, whoever was working that day, and he was like, "It really sounds." He's like, "I think that guy was right. It sounds to me like you're going through acute anxiety right now. You're struggling to get out of it. I mean, I've been in here talking with you for 10 minutes or so, and he's like, the way you're sitting right now, your shoulders are hunched, like you're holding yourself up on the table because you're so stressed. And he goes, that's using every muscle in your back right now. And if you've been sitting like that for 2.5 weeks, your back would feel terrible and it wouldn't get better. So why don't we run an x-ray and I'll show you that what we're looking at and what I'm talking about." And he showed me. So sometimes it just takes the time to help bring somebody, as you said, back down to earth a little bit. And it's hard to get that relieving deep breath. And then from there, I went to therapy and learned the tools that it takes to recognize what the feelings are. So anyway, I tried not to make that a long story, but it's just what I recognized is that I just need somebody to tell me that I'm going to be okay in the moment. But it's hard to even trust that.
It is hard, and it was great to have it. For instance, so we've been getting, as I said at the beginning of the story, been getting the life back on track. We're waking up, going back to the habits. It's more again, it's not a resolution. It's nothing against resolution. Jokes aside, it was more of let's get back to kind of what we were doing pre-holiday blitz. Right. It all kind of started really started October-ish, where it was Halloween, and then let's get rid of Halloween and let's get ready for Thanksgiving, then get ready for Christmas, and then it's New Year's. And while they're on break, it's 2.5 months of just nonstop everything all the time.
Yeah.
That we're let's get back into those habits of waking up. My wife and I were very good about taking turns of just all right, if she hasn't already, my wife's much better at waking up earlier than me. But if I wake up and she hasn't worked out yet and she's ready to, all right, you're ready, go. Or if I'm ready and she's doing work, go. And then we're kind of getting back into that habit and all that. So we're just starting to do that. But last night I started having it again. I just started getting anxiety alone and, being in bed alone with those thoughts and just going, and it didn't escalate past like what it was, which was still anxiety, but like having that safety net of knowing it wasn't the heart was like, okay. All right. You can.
Right. Some of your comfort is knowing that like, oh, I'm getting some anxious feelings again.
I'm freaking out
Not
about something.
what is happening to me feelings.
Which are just feeding off one another, which are bouncing off of each other, and they're all just ping-ponging. So it was like, it was nice. I mean, my brain's filling up with other thoughts of like, it could be this. And I was like, no, we'll address this on the next podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the most important, what I'll say is I think one of the most important things is talking about it. Because you're right. It's not still... I mean, it's more so than when we were kids, but still isn't talked about enough in this country at all. Mental health and anxiety, depression, these kinds of things. So it's important to have a good conversation about it. I know really what we talk about all the time is like making jokes and bringing levity to the insanity of parenting, but this is also a very realistic part of parenting. That things can be very overwhelming at times, and so. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy or probably really looking forward to it, but at the same time, I think it's important. So, I mean, I think it probably highlights that much more that it's important to just check on everybody that you know, not just people that don't look like they're doing well, but everybody. How are you doing? How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask them.
Ask your friends, ask your brothers, sisters, moms, everybody. Ask everybody you know. Just open communication is incredibly important.
So with that, I will give you a dumb dad moment.
Okay, let's end on a couple of dumb dad moments because I told you I got a good one.
So I got a dumb dad moment, and then it's not a dumb dad moment. It feels like it is. Okay. It's just funny it's just funny. It's not really a dumb anything, but so my dumb dad moment is, and you kind of just saw it before this podcast, but I didn't want to reveal anything. But my son has turned into a bit of a dumpster diver, and
Anyway, we got this new armoire, and it's once we strip the paint, it's gonna look great.
We got a 19th century China set and
Twinkie.
Yeah,
it's gross.
Tastes exactly the same. So anyway, again, going back to like getting our life together, organizing stuff. We were like, the house has been a disaster of just like the kids and being home and vacation and just like stuff behind them. So like the day after the New Year's Day, I woke up and I was just like, my wife was playing with the kids and she saw me just like furiously cleaning. I was just like around the house, just aggressively cleaning. I mean, I was on the floor.
You're so aggressive.
Like I was swearing at the floor.
Grunting and everything.
I was like, piece of shit. But I was cleaning, and then at one point she goes, you can relax, buddy. We don't need like get this all done. I looked right at her and I went, this is relaxing me. And she knew what that meant. Like I was like, I'm gaining some control back. This feels good. I would like to continue. And she was like, go nuts. And I was just like,
why don't you back off and go relax?
What does it look like I'm dying? So I was doing all that, and I'm trying to shed myself of the dad thing that we all do, which is just save the thing. You know that like when you put something together, you get a bag of extras and you save the thing. Or the kids like, the kids bring something home and it's definitely not a memorable picture or anything. Like it's definitely not like, we have memorable stuff. We save a lot of stuff my daughter brings that we're like, this is so cute, or my son brings. Then they bring.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down here. You're talking about the one extra IKEA bolt that you get.
Yeah.
You're talking about the little miniature. Well, maybe not the little miniature Lego pieces because those are like fun.
Save those. Those go in the Lego.
What are we talking about here? Yeah. But yeah, it's the
extra stuff. So I'm cleaning the
McDonald's
kitchen.
toys fit loosely into this category depending on how long you've had them.
Yeah, McDonald's toys they gotta go. But I mean, I'm like cleaning the kitchen, for instance. We've got like a junk basket.
Yeah,
just like where we just toss stuff. So I organized the whole basket and I spread it out and I have like trash, recycling, blah blah, and there's still items in there on top of like papers. And then I was grabbing it, going, okay, where can this new home for this be? Like that was my thought. Like just a piece of junk. I said, I thought to
you
myself,
didn't even know it was in there.
Yep, didn't know it existed. And I was like, what's a more reasonable spot for this? And I like
The garbage.
light bulb. It was a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, the garbage. It's the garbage. This is just a nondescript screw. They sell them for 60 cents at the hardware store. And you've already got a bucket of them in the garage. Go for it, buddy. And I started tossing stuff. Anyway, then I found stuff that like my daughter was getting from like birthday parties and stuff that she never played with. So I'm tossing some of that stuff and then just going aggressively. And then the next thing you know, I just turn around and my son is just standing by the garbage, just holding up like toys they didn't know existed. And they were just like, and he just him. And he was like, why are these in the garbage? Just looking at me. And I was like, oh no, you've got my disease. You don't understand, son.
Yeah,
You're never going to play with those. You're never going to play with those. Put them back where you found them. So I did what any good parent does. I just said, oh, no. Give me those. And thank you. Thank you for finding those. Go play. And he's around the corner and under some garbage.
Yeah, you lift the garbage
Yeah,
and then
the garbage,
throw them
put
away
it
and
under.
then close.
I was
the
just on a roll, okay?
I understand.
Silly dumb dad moment.
But it's a silly dumb dad moment because it is avoidable in the same sense that like when you find drawings that your kids have made, you can't just fold it once and put it on top.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
why don't you
just stack them on top of the recycling bag?
Why don't you just punch them in the soul if you're going to do it that way?
But anyway, my son did that right before we started this podcast. He came in with like those disgusting dinosaurs that you put in water and they grow and then
and they have a coating to them.
Yeah, they feel like a lizard regurgitated them. So my son came in right before we were recording and was just like, "Daddy, did you throw this in the garbage?" And I knew I didn't.
I know that was the best part. I witnessed this moment. He's asking if you've thrown it away, and your wife is standing there, and I could see the look on your face, and you said, "I can tell you, I did not." I was like, "Oh, not only did he not, I know who did."
I can tell you with 100% certainty, I did not throw that in the trash. He was like, "Okay."
The best part is how little he is, and you go, "The dog didn't do it, did he?" And he goes, "No. He doesn't have any hands."
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're being rational now.
What do you take me for, an idiot? He doesn't have hands. How's he going to throw it away?
So that was kind of my dumb dad. That was my dumb dad moment. You know, guys, if you're going to throw away beautiful, special treasures, and by the way, they're not beautiful or special, but they are to your kid, kind of.
For a fleeting moment.
Again, they're your disease. They're your like, well, I got to keep this, but that's the kid's version of like, well, you got to keep this. And it's like,
yeah.
But for why, as a child would say.
Especially now, let's be real here. We're talking about photos, things they make, and everything too. I understand wanting to save that kind of stuff. We have my wife and I. We have a couple of like folder things that like could not throw this away.
Yep,
want to save this. We put little things in there. A lot of other stuff though that's really cute, and we don't have the space for it. We take a picture of it. Okay, digital photos in the cloud. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Maybe
take a picture of it. Maybe. Well, for now. Until it all goes away, and then there's no memories, and we're all just pieces of
address
dust
the anxiety issue again.
Floating in the wind. I will say that I have brought something to you this week that I have been waiting since the very beginning of this podcast to tell you, because you're just going to have free range to I'm going to give you 60 seconds to make fun of me after it. Okay? As we know, my son's birthday is fast approaching. And so we have plans to have some fun for his birthday, and we have a list of things we're doing for his birthday, things we need to get for his birthday. Okay. Today, we had a Target pickup order. Needed to jump out to Target, pick up the pickup order. I asked my wife, "Hey, is there anything else that we need that I could go into Target and get that you forgot to put on the pickup order? Like, is there, like sometimes that happens, and she's like, yes, there is." She shows me on her phone. She doesn't want to say it out loud, but one of those canisters, like a party balloon canister, to blow up balloons.
Gotcha.
And she was like, "And the things that we are using it for are already on the way. So you could just grab one of these and then go outside and do the pickup order." I was like, "No problem." So I go into Target, and
I feel like I see where this is going. Go ahead.
You might. And so I go into Target and I go down to the party section, and here's the two they have like the mega canister, which is like, I'm not blowing up like 500 balloons. I don't need the mega canister. Yeah. there's the canister, and I go to reach for it, and then I see another box. And it's like made by the same company or whatever, and it looks like this, like it's like the smaller box. And it's like balloon something. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I pick it up, and it's like, hold on. Let me get there.
Object idiot.
So I pick this thing up, and it's like electric balloon blow upper, whatever the hell it's called. I don't even know what it's called.
The air compressor.
Yeah. And it runs out, and you plug it in. Right. And it's like much smaller. And we've done this before a couple times. Here's where my mind goes. I'm like, and you use the canister, and then you throw it away when it's done. Like this, we could just keep. So I'm like, I'm getting this thing. This is rad. So I walk over proudly. I ring myself up. But I do think, now in case this is for some reason not what she wants, I'm just going to print the receipt just in case.
Great.
Okay. So I get home, and I'm like, hey, babe, come here. Come in the kitchen. Let me show you something. She's like, okay. And I show her. I'm like, check it out. She goes, what's that? I go, it's to blow up the balloons. That way, we could just keep it. You plug it in and use it over and over. She goes, it doesn't blow it up with helium. And in that moment, I realized how stupid I am. Because it'd just be a bunch of balloons
on the ground.
On the ground.
Oh,
like,
so dumb.
So stupid. And she goes, and she knows too. She's like, you were so proud of me to show me that. And I was like, proud of yourself. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I've solved our problem of like just getting these cans from the party store or whatever and using them until they blow
this
the
thing just sucks helium out of the air and puts it into the balloons. It separates the helium. Helium's not in the air. It just goes in outer space. Oh, okay.
Dude, I've never gone from you go. That's some of about being a dad or a husband or whatever.
Would you say that you were
riding this high?
Would you say that you were deflated?
Well done. It's like when you're so proud of yourself for making a good decision, and then all you're doing is dancing on the carpet, and your wife is standing behind you, holding the corners, going.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. I'm just going to yank this so hard. And he's going to fall on his face, but I got to do it.
But your wife also told you in advance she needs to clean that carpet in advance, and you decided to dance on it. That's just such a good, dumb, like I said, just a dumb dad shiny object moment.
Yeah.
You were reaching for it. Oh, what's this? Oh, wow. 80 PSI. That's pretty good.
This is endless air we're using here.
Blows up 100 balloons in 5 minutes. That's pretty solid.
Yeah. This other one only blows up 50, and we have to throw the can away when we're done.
I'm lessening my carbon footprint. What's that? And now I have two things.
Dude. So
you're gonna return it? You're gonna keep it?
We're gonna return it.
And if you'd like to have
I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you what I have to do is go back to Target and get the thing that has the helium in it first of all.
That's for sure. You do have to, so you can.
But maybe it's worth keeping that thing because it'd be fun to have a bunch of balloons on the ground as well. Who knows? But that's beside the point. It's certainly not above it because it doesn't.
They don't float.
They don't float.
They don't.
So, so there you go. So proud. I was so proud.
That's delightful. All right, my last thing, which is not, it's not even a dumb dad moment. It's just this funny thing that my daughter did. I'll tell you real quick. She's done it a couple times now, and I thought of it today because today we went to Discovery Cube. We don't need to get into that. It was a fun time. It was great. But I remember at one point I was like, you lose track of your kids for like 3 seconds. We're like, there they are. Yeah. Kind of thing. And
you and I hold up like a number. Like I can see 4.
I got 4. Okay. 4, 2, 3.
Okay, got it.
And I'm like, I got 3, and you're like, I got 3. Oh,
which 3 do we have?
So my daughter's been doing this thing, which is like what we taught her to do. So we cannot correct her in this because it's important that she does it. And she's done it like twice now. But she does this thing where if she can't find us for 2 seconds. She turns to a mom or an employee and says, I can't find my mom. Like instant. That we have to like bomb around we're right here. We're right here. We never lost sight of you. We didn't lose sight of you. Lost sight. And it's one of those things where we go, well, we can't tell her, well, be lost for a little longer.
You don't know what lost is, okay? Lost is like, I want you in the parking lot trying to identify the car, okay? That's
Remember why Daddy went to the hospital? That's you got to feel before you address. But like, that's what we told her to do. That's what we told her to do. It's so fast. Both times it was so fast. I'm just like, I can't find my mind. Nope. I'm
here. Because
and then that person is just like, wait, is this an abductor?
I know.
Waiting, like jumping on an opportunity.
The can of worms that opens. You're like, wait. Yes, I'm her father. Look at Daddy. Okay,
and then that woman's like, you can't be because you are standing right there. And
and she said, I can't find my mom, and you're not a mom. So,
both times it was mom, and I believe I was there for both of them. I know I was there for the most recent one, and I might have been there for the first, but it was just no. Good job. That was the thing. Like,
no. Quiet. Listen, look, I have your snacks. I have snacks.
Let's get in my white van.
Whoa.
We just happened to have a van. But it was funny because like she did that, and we instead of saying that, because kids can't rationalize of like, look around for a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Like we have to just go.
That's so funny. Hey, be lost for a little bit.
Good job finding a mom or an employee. That was what we told you.
That's what I tell you. When we get lost, you weren't lost.
Yeah. So that's what we got. Happy New Year, everyone. If you've got some wild parenting New Year stories or just some dumb parenting moments, we love reading them on the podcast. So write them in to dumbdadpod@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram, where we are at the Dumb Dads, which is our handle on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, where you can watch the full episodes of this podcast in video form if you so choose. But please rate and review the podcast. And Evan, thank you very much for talking to me about this stuff, this new fun anxiety adventure I'm on.
Hey,
I do appreciate it.
Well, listen, it's part of. I will say this: it's part of what we signed up for when we thought, hey, there's not a lot of dads out there talking about what it's like to be dads.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that in podcast form and see where this takes us? And so here we are, and
talking about
I wouldn't rather be anywhere else than sitting here with you, making sure you're okay. So I will say that.
Same, man.
Check in with each other, check in with your people, and don't be afraid to say the thing that you may feel embarrassed to say, because it just could make you feel a little bit better. So
that's right.
I
Cheers,
love you.
Buddy. Love you.
Cheers.
Thanks to Ed Verdu on SoundCloud for the intro and outro to this wonderful podcast. And thanks as always to my lovely wife, Annie, for editing said podcast. Evan, ruin this podcast with a joke.
Yeah, here you go. Ready? Did you hear that koala bears aren't really bears?
No.
Turns out they just don't meet the qualifications.
But they're cool. Okay. That's
It's in the name though.
Yeah,
so they're bears.
And
they have cute noses. So what are we doing?
Sounds like they're qualified.
Wow, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Welcome to the world, little one. Welcome to life.
How do I stop this?